everybody, this is Chris with Shalom Acres, and we were asked to do a video kind of talking about some of the things that we use here on the homestead for butchering. And again, I just want to start off by saying this is what we use. Some other people may have found other items that are just as good, but over the years, I've been, I guess, processing deer since for the last 25 years. And then really got heavy into more animals and stuff within the last 5 years as far as for here on our own homestead. Actually within the last 4 years on our homestead. So I'll just share with you some of the experiences that we've had. So this right here is the current knife that I'm using. It's what does it say? A Victorinox. It's a Swiss made knife. I think it's like an 8 or 9 inch type blade on it. And this is what I use right now for the cow, sheep, and any deer, any kind of small animals that I get. And I can tell you, I've used many, or I've cleaned many animals before just using truly a razor blade. I guess you just call it not a box, yeah, more like a box blade. So I've skinned out a lot of animals that way, which is really nice and handy. It works out pretty well. It's a short blade, nice and sharp. You don't have to worry about sharpening. You just, discard the blade when you're done. But I think as you get into this more and more, you really need to find a knife and then also hone your skills for sharpening that knife. And the reason why I've chosen this knife is, one, it's flexible. You can see that a little bit flexible, but yet rigid. It allows me to get up underneath the back leg real well, and also the front leg, and get between the skin and the flesh and make a real nice long incision. So that's why I've chosen this knife. We've also got a few of the smaller knives that they have, so then that way we can use those when we're just doing some light trimming out. So that's what we've done here. I'll take you over to the knife sharpening system, and I'll put a video link as far as to this, but this right here is the current, it's called the slicing edge sharpening system. I'll put a video link down in the bottom talking about it, but what we've got here is it's a two-stage system. Just runs on a pedestal grinder. This right here is if you have any nicks or kind of scratches in your blade. It's a little bit of a rougher edge, and there's an oil that comes along with that. I forget the name of the oil that's specifically with that. This right here is a goose oil, and it's on the kind of on the finishing, polishing side. So you can see it's kind of fluted here, but these are just cardboard paper type wheels that are just, I believe they're just impregnated together probably with a glue. This sharpening system I found, I understand, I can use a stone, but I'm not great at it. But the reason why I use this is if you're cleaning a large animal and you've got a lot of people helping you, there's no need to try to use a stone that's going to take a lot longer of time, in my opinion, than it is to come over here. I can take this setup right here, and I can sharpen probably 6 knives in less than 5 minutes. I mean, it's just phenomenal. And I mean, every time you sharpen it, once you get it down, you're cutting hair off your arm. It's just a beautiful, beautiful setup. Works great. And I understand that electricity may not always be here, but while we've got it, I'm definitely using it. So this is the system we use. So that's kind of the entry level stuff as far as why we've chosen the knife that we've chosen. Now I'll get into the grinder. So this right here is a number 32 grinder. We ordered it off Amazon. There's nothing special about it. I'll put a link down to it in the comments. But it was like a $70 grinder. At the time it came with just one plate, which is this plate right here, which I think is a 1/4 inch plate. And then it also came with these little horns and this little stuffing part. And then it also came with an extra pulley, so that way you could hook it up to a motor. So, I mean, it did come with some accessories. I'll tell you right. Oh, and it came with an extra handle. So, if we don't have electricity, you can crank it by hand. And I have cranked it by hand, and it works really well. These accessories here, in my opinion, are throwaway items. Only reason why I haven't thrown them away is yet I might use them for a funnel or something different. But I will never use this to actually stuff sausage. So in my opinion, this is completely worthless. The other thing that you'll need as you're getting your skill honed a little bit further, I would suggest getting a few different plate sizes, as far as grinder plate sizes. And you can order these from a variety of different places. You know, Agri Supply has, I think, a pretty good combo pack. Some you can get off of eBay. Others you can, you might be able to find off of Craigslist. And there's probably some other places you can get out there. But the ones I would recommend sizes getting is, I think a 5/16 inch and a 3/8 inch are pretty well, are key for making sausage, both breakfast sausage and then also, a hard salami summer sausage. So I think that's kind of where we're at. And this setup, I just want to talk a little bit about this. So we mounted ours on a wooden board. And you'll see, the reason why I double stack that wooden board is because it allows my clearance here so I can run a pulley. If I didn't double stack that board, this pulley here would actually be hitting on the wood, or you try to put it over the edge, and you put it over the edge and it becomes unsafe and unstable. So I put it on a 2x10, and I purposely mounted that up. And then I put it on there with carriage bolts, so that way if I ever need to take it off, I can just pull it off real simple with carriage bolts, and put a polyurethane coat over the whole piece. So that way whenever you clean it, you can clean it with hot water or whatever, and it works out real well. So this is the grinder. It's one of the largest grinders that you can, there's larger grinders you can get, but it's one of the larger ones you can get that's actually cheap in price, and it works really well as far as hooking up a simple motor. And the belt combo here, as far as what I did, I just went to our local hardware store and just bought, a belt that was actually off of a furnace. Just put that on there. Talk a little bit about the setup here for the motor. So, I'll take this off. So this right here is just a simple 1/6 horsepower. 1/6 horsepower. A Dayton, it's 1140 RPM, so about 1200 RPM motor, which is standard. They're not real common, but they are very common out there. I think this was probably used on a small furnace or something like that, and it already had a pulley attached to it. That's why I didn't have to put the other one on there. The simple system that I used, so it allows it to pivot. I just put in one screw here, so that way it allows it to adjust, but and it also makes it come off real easy. And then I simply put this system on. Again, I just have 2 carriage bolts through here, connected through to the eye bolt portion, and then from there we just adjust it as far as just pulling it tight here, and it allows you to get a great amount of pressure. The very first one of these I ever built, I actually mounted the motor permanently, and to this day, my one brother still uses it, but it doesn't allow you to get the tension that you need on that belt, and it allows for a little bit of slip. So if you do that, you'll end up needing to put some kind of a take up or something underneath here to put some tension on the bottom side of the belt, so that way it actually makes more contact, or more positive contact with the pulley all the way up. If you got any questions on that, you can let me know, but it's really about the amount of contact that it makes on the sides of the pulley, because that's the part that actually does the actual makes the contact, which drives it. So that is the, we talked about sharpening knives, we talked about the grinder and the plates, and then a little bit about the motor combo setup. In this area, I do think I'm a little bit underpowered as far as the 6 horsepower. I think I would really like to have a 3rd horsepower at least, preferably a 1/2 horse would be ideal. Before we move away from the actual grinder itself, I just want to say, these things can last either a short amount of time or a long amount of time, just depends on how you take care of them. So I talked a little bit about how important it was to go ahead and make it so you can remove it so you can clean it. Another portion, when you're putting it back together as far as assembling it, make sure you have a good food grade grease that you're putting on this, because otherwise these plates are going to rust. You'll have problems with your bearings that are down inside here that'll seize up on you. So you want to go ahead and do one of 2 things. So I've done it both ways. I either take an air compressor and I blow everything out, But that's what I used to do. But now I actually take hot water. I do hot water, and then I let it sit on a towel, a dry towel, and then I just go ahead after about 20 minutes. I dry it all out, and then I went ahead and I always go ahead and put coconut oil on everything. So I put coconut oil on both surfaces of this, on the actual knife assembly that's in there. The actual auger that's in there, I put coconut oil on the whole piece of that. In between the bearings, I put the coconut oil on that. And every place where it's going to rotate in there. So like in this little section here between, the end of your auger, I put coconut oil there. And then also here on the back of the housing, I put coconut oil. And then in here, to make sure that this thread comes off real easy, I actually put coconut oil on there, because every time I take this apart, I disassemble the pulley. So those are just a couple tips too, so that way you can keep your equipment in the best of shape for the long term. So hope that helps. Then we're going to talk here about the stuffer that we've got. So we've got this vertical stuffer. It's a 15-pound stuffer. Again, sausage maker. There's several other really good. There's quite a few of them out there. This is the one that I currently have, and I'll be honest, I have it just as a hand backup. I have not personally used this one yet, except for once. So I just used it once, put it together, and made sure that everything worked right so I would have it. But as far as doing large quantities of meat with it, I have not. I've always gone back to using my one that was built several years ago that simply uses an air compressor and just allows it to drive back and forth. Because there are some that I started off with the sausage stuffer one, and we cranked out 700 pounds one year. And after you do 700 pounds of hand cranking, you'll find a way to automate pretty quick, because your shoulder's pretty sore after you do that all day long. So for those of you that are going to make large quantities, you may want to either look at doing it over several days, having multiple guys with you, or figuring out a way to automate it a little bit. I know some of those electric stuffers are out there, but boy, they're pricey. I think they're over $2,000. So I think, like I said in the sausage making video, if you come up with an idea, pretty creative, I think you can make it work. So those right there are the tools that we use. Oh, let me just share one other thing. They make a 5-pound version of this, a 10-pound version, and a 15-pound version. I don't know. In our house, it just feels like when you do a 5-pound one, you're going to really, you're going to get about one stick out. And then you're going to have to reload it. If you do the 10-pound one, it depends on what you're going to, if you're going to use those 2.5-pound casings, you might get lucky to get 2, probably not going to get 3. So in our opinion, I think it's always better to buy the 15-pound one, the larger one. It's not that much more money. It might be double what the 5-pound one is, but it's really about how nice the stainless is, and then it also saves you a bunch of time in the end, and it also allows you, the efficiency of getting more of them done in a shorter period of time. Because let's face it, you are dealing with raw meat. You do want to get it packed, and you want to get your smokehouse loaded up, and either that night or the next day, fired off. So you don't want to be sitting around all the time just continually loading up your stuffing tube. So that's just a few tips that we've learned over the years. Hopefully it helps you. And hopefully this video made sense. Like I said, it's kind of hard to place myself in everybody's situation. Just trying to really share what we've learned over the last, 25 years, and just try to give you an opportunity to take that and shorten your learning curve and get a little bit further ahead. Because there's nothing better than seeing other brothers and sisters take that and then develop something better, and then allows other people to go ahead and do something in a shorter period of time, and then share that with others. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and thanks for sharing our videos with other people on social media. Have a great night.